Canada condemns in the strongest possible terms Mr. Spavor's unjust conviction after more than 2.5 years of arbitrary detention.
Canada's Minister of Foreign Affairs says the government is working tirelessly for the release of Michael Spavor, as well as fellow Canadian detainee Michael Kovrig. The Chinese government has accused both of espionage. The 11-year sentence was handed down this morning, alongside a fine and deportation.
This decision was made after a process that lacked both fairness and transparency, including a trial that did not satisfy the minimum standards required by international law.
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau also condemned the sentencing, calling it unacceptable and unjust. Jeremy Kinsman, a former Canadian ambassador to over a dozen countries, thinks Spavor will be deported before he serves his full sentence.
I think sooner or later, the political decisions on both sides are going to be taken to end this standoff and do the trade that Chinese expect us to do.
Garneau wouldn't say if sanctions are on the table or if the United States is willing to drop the charges against Huawei executive Meng Wanzhou. She was detained in Vancouver in 2018, and the arrest of both Michaels is widely seen as retaliation. A court in BC heard final arguments today on whether Wanzhou would be extradited to the U.S., where she is wanted on allegations of violating trade laws. A verdict is expected later this month. Canada has also been calling on its international allies for support. This morning, diplomats from 25 countries gathered at the Canadian Embassy in Beijing.
Our collective presence and voice sends a strong signal to China, and the Chinese government in particular, that all the eyes of the world are watching.
Kinsman wants to see the U.S. do more to support Canada.
I'm a bit disappointed with the United States. I don't think they're paying enough attention to the amount of trouble their charges, which I don't find totally plausible, against Mrs. Meng, how much trouble they have got their friend and neighbor into.
Spavor's sentencing comes just days after a Chinese court's decision to uphold the death penalty for another Canadian, Robert Schellenberg, who is facing drug charges. Garneau also condemned that ruling this morning. Emily Taylor, CHCH News.